Hey, what's going on, y'all? Back with another one. Back with another one. Let's see here. Let's see here. Yeah. We'll see here. Okay, Elam, the third edition. Elam. Yeah, we got the part three of Elam, right? The Elamites, right? So we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. Put this on the screen, side screen. Gonna share it. But I'm gonna be talking about this, but just get my stuff set up and things like that. I don't know what's going on here. Oh, okay. All right, I'm gonna maximize it. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about Elam, right? I'm gonna go like this, right? See what's going on here. Ain't much. Try to keep the distractions down and shit. Okay. Ancient man and his first civilizations, Elam, modern Iran, right? He said, when last we left Elam, the Babylonians and the Medes of Media had destroyed the Assyrian Empire, which they did destroy the Assyrian Empire. So this is Cyrus the Second. Persians, right? We're talking about the Persians at this point. We're basically talking about Persians and the rest of the. It's a long ass empire. The Elamite culture is huge. I talked about this on live streams. You can go on Dark History streams that I talked about it in pre-records as well. I mentioned a lot of stuff about them the early years of this channel. So this is like my second go around on YouTube, but I've been on here for like decades. I've been on YouTube for a lot more than that. So just bear with me with this recording. So, okay. So media or the Medes, right? The kingdom of the Medes was, however, soon overthrown by the rise of the Persians. It was rise of the Persians, right? And they were led by their king Cyrus the Second, Cyrus the Great, right? Talking about it's in the scriptures. You go by Cyrus the Great, but he's known as Cyrus the Second in person, but he's known in scripture, they call him the Great, right? Of Persia. While the Medes have been busy with the Assyrians, Cyrus had managed to unite under his authority several Persian and Elamite tribes who were not under the Median control. Eventually, he openly rebelled against the Medes, and who he bested in battle had bested in battle. In these battles, considerably numbers of the Median troops have deserted to the Persian side. Thus, in the 550 BCE, the Median Empire became a part of the first Persian Empire, because part of the first Persian Empire by the Achaemenid kings. Achaemenid kings, right, must have been appeared on the international scene with the suddenness that the frightened many. That's when he had that big army and then the Battle of 300 and all that. So Cyrus the Great. We'll go read this description thing right here. So we're gonna keep this going. It's a lot of nonsense going on. This new time. Actually, it's not a new time. It's the standard time. But you know how people brainwash y'all with times and stuffs and shirks obligations and all that. Okay. Okay. The relief of the curly head and the curly haired beard of Cyrus the Great, 580 to 529 BCE, as an early version of the I'll say the Favenhar, Favenvar in found in Pasagida or something like that. Pasasargada, Garde, excuse me, Pasasargade, right? The old capital city of Persia, founded by Cyrus. That's what it was called back then. It's called I mean, I say Pasargade. Yeah, Pasargadade or something like that. Yeah. That's a mouthful, but but that's what he called it at the time. So Cyrus was that ruler, and that's what they would look at him as an idol at the time. He was like a god to them, but he wasn't. As a ruler, wanting to be worshipped. That's how it was back then. Now, to today, many black men still favor the short-haired, bearded Cyrus. That's just the idea. They're probably different ethnicities. One looks like a regular. He could be. I think he's African. Some could be a islander black or the modern day English black, just basic. These are ideas what these people would look like. Shouts out to this brother, Real History, www.com. He's just giving you ideas. That's why we skim through it. So it's no need. It's just an idea. Zoroastrianism or Zoroaster. Yeah, is it Zoroastrianism, right? Or Zoroaster, I would say. The religion of the Persians was this religion, right? Zoro, right? The Zoro religion. I ain't gonna say it's a mouthful because I used to say it, but it's been a while. It's been years. I used to study that years ago when I was in middle school. That religion is notorious by them, and I don't know if they still practice it to this day. It's gone. As their name, as their name for their god was Aramazda. Yeah, Aramazda. The symbol of their religion, not their god, was the Varavehar, but the Persians were devotedly religious, had many strict rules and prohibitions. Like I would say prohibitations, and particularly distaste to the Persians was the lie. The Achaemenid kings did not discriminate against other religions, did not seek to force others to their faith. Many aspects of the Zoro religion, right? The Zoro, right? Were later incorporated into the Hebrew religion. See, there's many aspects. It's no saying it's a Hebrew religion, that's just him saying it. I get it, what he's talking about. In his mind, Cyrus saw the world of being full of the evil and disorder, felt the incumbent upon him to bring order to the world. But in his thinking, the only way to do that was to conquer it. And that's in his mind. He was a warlord, right? Darius is the human bust of this Vehar, Vevarve, the symbol of the Zoro religion, right? And that's what it was. That's a symbol, right? Cyrus then went to conquering every land that he could find, and finally he turned on Babylon. As you can recall with the Sumer section, Marduk priesthood in Babylon had already set the stage. The fall of Babylon, right, came about almost in the anticlimax. The fall of the greatest city in the Middle East was a swift the Cyrus march, and this was late summer of 539 BCE, and seized in the hands of the statues of the god Marduk. This is a signal of the willingness to rule as a Babylonian and not as a foreign conqueror. With this, he was held the legitimate successor to this throne, and this one stride Cyrus carried the Persian power to the um the Persian powers to the borders of Egypt. For the Babylonian came all into previous seas from from the Assyrians, also that which was later gained of its own. The liberation of the Hebrews, they would say, the liberation of Israel, right? By the order of Cyrus, all the captive nationalities that have been held for generations in Babylon was freed, and their return to their homelands was financed by him. Yeah, he financed them. Cyrus did finance the Israelites, or you would say Israelites, their land, which you call the land of Melchizedek or land of Israel, right? Was financed by him. But among the liberated captives were 50,000 Hebrews, basically Israelites, right? The northern tribes, right? They held the Babylonian for the three generations, but their instructions was to return to their homeland and rebuild their temple, which they did. It's in scripture. I forget the scriptures they was. I used to teach it back in the day. This is policies where they allowed to by Cyrus and successors. Some of the liberated Hebrews were invited to and did settle in Persia, which they did. Some did, like you got today, because such as a generous act by Cyrus had been anointed into the Bible, right? Or the Tetragrammaton, like if you go by that, Genesis to Malikia or Malachi, right? That standard of the Tetragrammaton and the Torah, what they call Bible, they try to include Yahshua, known as Jesus, right? But that's a whole nother story on that. He's the only gentle and they say in the Bible has been titled the Messiah. But he also is mentioned eventually to the lands of the shepherd and the anointed, the Messiah. But other references of Cyrus was attested to Isaiah 45, the 45th chapter, or the fourth the fourth verse, right? Or in Hebrew is known as Yeshua 45, the fourth verse, right? So in Tetragrammaton or Hebrew is Yeshua or Yeshua Yahoo or whatever you want to say, but Yeshua will be his name. But in English, you can say is Isaiah, right? It's in the book of Isaiah, right? Where Cyrus is called by the name of given in the title. However, he is also called to rebuild God's temple, or should I say Yah's temple. See, they use God. God means power, but it means Yah's city, right? Not Yahweh, but just simply Yah, or the city and free and his people in the 45th chapter, once again, 13th verse. And he is chosen to call the brought through the success by Yah, right? That's what it says. They said by God, but it should say Yah in Yeshua 48. Yeah, the 48, the 14th, the 15th verses. Yep. And upon the death of Cyrus the Great, the empire passed to his son, uh, Cambyses II, reigned 529 to 522 BCE. But at the time, there were many have been some degree unrest through the empire for the Cyrus death. Cambyses apparently felt it necessary to secretly kill his brother and Cyrenius in the campaign against Egypt that began in 525 BCE. They tried to conquer Egypt. That's what happened. Conquest of Egypt. The Egyptian pharaoh Ahmose II in the 26th dynasty sought out to shore up his defenses against the Persians by hiring Greek mercenaries, but he has destroyed by the Greeks and in Cambyses' success, but managed to be crossed hostile to the Sinai Desert. But traditionally, Egypt is the first strongest line of defense and engage of the Egyptians um, forces under the condemn of Pasmek III in the battle of the battle of the Pelusium, the Pelusium, and the Egyptians lost and were forced to retire to Memphis, which subsequently fell into the Persians, as did all for Egypt later. That's what they did. There was a little conquest then, little wars back then. These are hairstyles based off the people what they look like. They could be African or people of the dark Asian culture. They can be a mix of anything. We don't know. But this is an idea. Shouts out to this brother right here. He's just giving me an idea. A black child with a medium curly hair similar to the type of the Persian and the Assyrian hairstyles. That's what they said of the ancient cultures. They have those hairstyles. Don't be surprised. There's some truth to that. Ancient hairstyles that people want to go by. That's how people with these hairstyles. This is just an idea. It's not say those are the people. These are idea for what I'm talking about. They would have those hairstyles. And I get it. Some people have different hairstyles. It depends. We don't know what they really look like. We'll get an idea. So, if you go by anthropology and shit like that and the bones, you'll see. The technology is good. We really get to see. You like, oh man, I didn't know they look like that. But within little more than a century, the Assyrian Menopause salt zone, the great Elamite city, Susa, was built by Darius the First, but the successor was Cambyses II. But at around 518 BCE, Darius took care to record that has been adored by the city of the gold with the sardius and Bactria ivory from Egypt and Ethiopia, but the cedar wood from Lebanon. This was afforded by the tributes that came to him from controlling two 2 million square miles of the territory, but stretching from Egypt, the Aegean Sea well into India, and from the Persian Gulf of the Caspian and Black Seas. Susa or more become glowing, as described in the Bible, was monumental furnishes with the marble pillars and coaches gold and silver on the mosaic pavement of the poetry of marble and mother and the pearls of the precious of stones, but thus restored the Susa later and became 1,700 years, and then it said was destroyed by the Mongol invaders. But in 1200 CE, it was never again rebuilt. The Persian Wars, as chronicled by Herodotus after the fact, the circa 400 BCE. The Greco-Persian Wars was a series of conflicts between Achaemenid Empire of Persia and the city-states in the Hellenic world, and it started back in 449 BCE, but at its late lasted 449 BCE. But the collisions of between the fractional political world of the Greeks and the enormous empire of the Persians began with the Cyrus and the Great conquered Ionia in 547 BCE, but struggling to rule independence and Pennine cities of Ionia, and then the Persians appointed the tyrants and to rule them each them, and this will prove be the source of the much trouble of the Greeks and the Persians, Persians alike. Right, that's what it said in 449 BC. Talking about Ditus and all that. It's a long read. I'm gonna skip all that. We ain't gonna read all that, but you know the rest. I talked about this in live streams. We just read this half right here. That's what it's about. We read this part's no need. It talks about the conquest of the world of Greeks, and you can just read. You can look at this rest of yourself. If you really want to read. I'll talk about this on live stream a lot. I'm just gonna get to the points, the main points, and it talks about their downfall and things like that. And then you got the Posians, the nephew, and all that. That's a long read. I'm not gonna, for time constraints, we will get to the most important part: the fall of the Achaemenid Empire. The others, like the history, right there. So, see how much time we got. I'm doing this for time constraints, so y'all bear with me. But we're not gonna read a lot like that. Some of this I can do on live streams. I can go Persia. We can talk about part 3. See, part 1 and 2 is simple. It's no need. Then we can also go back and do that. I can do it in parts on live streams and just talk to you about certain things and keep it at that. So in May, in the fall of the Achaemenid Empire, in May 334 BCE, the Persians strapped traps led by the Greek mercenary, the Miniman of Rhodes, and the defeat of the battle of the Granicus of the Macedonian king Alexander the Great. But this victory exposes the Persian weakness. He later undertakes a full-scale invasions of Persia. By now, Persia is weak, even though the Persian field is a large army. It has made up of mostly mercenaries. Battle of Issus occurred in southern Anatolia, but in November 333 BCE, the invading troops, led by the young Alexander of Macedonia, defeated the army personally led by Darius III of Achaemenid Persia in this second great battle of the primacy in Asia. The Persian capital, excuse me, talk with my spit right there, but capital of Persepolis fails to invade to April 330 BCE. Darius III, last Achaemenid king, is murdered in the summer of that same year while fleeing to conquerors. With the annexation of the Persian Empire, the Greeks now established the greatest empire known to man, like he's got today, but that later failed into the Roman Empire. Hold on, sir. I talked about that as well. Okay, Darius III, 380 to 330 BCE, also known by his given name of the Commodinus, was the last of the Achaemenid kings of the Persian Empire from 336 BCE to 330 BCE. Okay. And that's what you get. Tomb of the last Macedonian and things like that. It's a whole nother story on that. The war. I talked about that recently. The mosaic. Darius III, talking about that as well. You know how that goes. He talked about the Greeks and Romans and all that, Alexander the Great and all that, and the blue and all that. So the war glazed Persian soldiers, you name it. Talk about Darius. A lot of stuff you can see here. King Darius close up. That's an idea. This is ideal what they would say he would look like. The Persian people and all that. It's not like the standard or anything, but it is what it is. And then you see more statues of Darius as well. Prince Xerxes behind the throne of King Darius. Battle 300, Xerxes. You know what I mean? Then Darius with the beard and all that, Darius, and then you got Xerxes and all that. Whole nother story. The relief from Egypt, Persian king Alexander III. I mean, the Artaxerxes III, Artaxerxes or the Audatus. That's what they say. Okay, cool. And that's what it says. And then you got here's the Herodotus describe of the participants in the great battle, and he tells us that the Eastern Ethiopians, Dravidians, so the Eastern Ethiopians, which you call them, known as Dravidians today, they're basically Eastern Ethiopians of ancient Ethiopians, but what you call the Untouchables, Dravidians, that's what they would look like because they are the same family because it's different cultures in Ethiopia, the name itself. But the two nations' name served as the army were the march with the Indians, but they differed in the nothing more from the Ethiopians save their language and the character of their hair. For the Eastern Ethiopians have straight hair, which they did, while they of Libya were more woolly haired. What they say Libyans, right? Woolly haired than any other people in the world. Ethiopians, they try to say it's a Greek meaning, but they announce Ethiopian. Okay, this is actually created by albinos. That's what he said. Blah blah. It's a man-made term. Ethiopians. I get it, known as Kush or whatever. But we get it. We get it. We'll disguise it. Shots of the guy. I don't. We're gonna skip that. He marked that out. Okay. So Libyans, Greek term usually denoting all the African except Egypt. A curiosity, his differentiation of the Indians suggests that the time that the differentiation of the India between the native people of the Aryan newcomers apparently held has not taken place yet. But the word India and India derives from the Aryan Agata Indria. With the Alexandrian conquest of the Persian Empire, which is include Mesopotamia, Egypt, and all the other nations were under Persia control. Greeks and the other Europeans from walls of life were encouraged to migrate into the Middle East and North Africa, what you got today. It was supposedly Alexander desired the Greeks and Persia to share the empire to promote this harmony between his people and Persians, and he ordered the 80 of the important men. So many of the high-born Persian woman in the traditional Persian wedding and ceremonies, and he himself and King Darius' daughter, and was in either the Barshin, I believe, Barsine or Esther's and his best friend or half shot, whatever, but married Barshin, the sister drive okay, and it began promoting Persian high-ranking promotions in his army, etc., etc. Okay, saying that the Persians and the Macedonians should have also the empire, but his efforts created many failed. However, even the marriages between his man and the Persian mostly broke up, broke up after his death. Persian human head, wing bull, protected against the called Shidu of or Lamasu. That's what that is, right? So yeah, it's like that, and then there's Samuel Jackson. They try, he played in a movie or something, or like he said, the modern black man with the Persian type beard. Only black men can have this type beard. That's what he's saying. Black. That's describing. That don't mean they look like this guy. He's an actor, so they're just giving you ideas. But this is a little different. Yeah, they were darker skinned people. Yeah, but they had a different look. So we don't know the actual. And then Ox's treasure. The Oxus treasure consists of about 170 objects dating mainly from the 5th and 4th centuries BCE, but the treasure seems to have been gathered together over a long period, perhaps, of the temple. The second includes vessels, gold scabrod modeled chariots and figures and armlets and seals and finger rings and miscellaneous personal objects. Di- uh, dedi- yeah, dedica dedicatory. I mean, is it dedicated? Dedicatory, yeah, dedicatory. Excuse me, dedicatory plaques. Dedicatory plaques and coins of seconds was found in the banks of the river Oxus and probably of the site of Takti the first Kawad and ferry stations of the north banks of the river. In May 1888, excuse me, in May 1880, the Captain F.C. Burton and the British political officer of Afghanistan rescued the group of merchants who had been captured by the bandits and while traveling between Kabul and Paswa. And they were carrying with this rich collection and gold and silver objects Burton brought from them and gold armlet. But now in the Victoria and Albert Museum, other pieces of the treasure successfully emerged into the bazaars in Rawalpindi, and some of those that be in the British museums were acquired by Major General Sir Alexander Cunningham, 1814 to 93 to 1893, right? Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India, and others were obtained in Sir Augustus Wallenstein Wollaston and Frankson, who have been both curator of the museum and the general beneficiary. And due to the Franks brought Cunningham's shares to the treasure. Eventually, the entire axis of the treasure was bequeathed by him in the British Museum. Okay, so that's what you got. So in the Oxford Treasure Document Museum version, okay, the Silicid periods, right? That's what they would say. And it's item treasure, Achaemenid, Persian, Greek, Silla, the Seleucids, yeah, the Seleucid period, and the Persian man right on the right of me. You see this, you've seen this before on the other parts. So that's pretty much it. You know, it's pretty much it. And it's gold, and you see what you see. So right there, we talked about Cyrus, and it's a good look. We'll stop it right here. But yeah, but Cyrus, talk about him in scripture and things like that nature. You know, it's just wonderful. Like, you know, you see this stuff on, and I'm just like, you know, and I'm just like, you know, enjoy, you know, what's going on and what's happening. But enough of that. I'm gonna put that over here. But that's what we're gonna talk about Cyrus. But you know, I just want to do it, you know, because this is part 3. You know, this we're a little bit out of time and things like that. I'm gonna stop the sharing. But yeah, Elam is very interesting. You get this point, and you know, part 3 is like that. But part 4 and 5, I'm gonna see how long part 4 is. The Seleucids, yeah, we're gonna talk about them. They're gonna be part 4, and it's so long, and it talks about their history and the hair, and you know, we talk about the culture. I don't want to see nothing graphic. Okay, Asian versus white, you know, we're gonna kill that argument, you know, the hair and all that. So it's like, you know, the Romans, I gotta see. Right, but now it's getting tougher. The 5th part, the end of the Elam Persia, that's the one we're gonna talk about, the 5th one. That is gonna be a lot. Northeast Africa and things like that. We're not gonna get into the indigenous, we're gonna skip all that. I'll do that in the Arab conquest. We're gonna, that's a long one, so we're gonna skip all. We're not gonna skip number 5. We're gonna do number 5 another week if I schedule a live stream like in this month. It's gonna be a little different. We're gonna talk about part 4 by itself, and then we're gonna talk about the 5 is a long one. So pretty much it, you know. So with that, hope y'all enjoy it. See you on the next one. Yes, we're gonna do part 4. We're gonna talk about the Seleucids or Seleucids, how you want to pronounce them. They gonna be interesting people. So with that, until next time, I'll see y'all on the next one. Shalom to the people of Israel and the Gentiles. Until next time, I'm signing off. I'm out.